Hey everybody, what's going on? It is Rick and I'm here with a video that I've been talking about doing for a very long time. If you guys follow me on Letterboxd, if you've watched my live streams recently, you know that I've talked about doing this video for a while. Basically what I'm here to do is the last 2 weeks I watched all 11 Star Wars movies. A lot of people go, okay, yeah, Rise of Skywalker just came out, I've watched them too. I'm a bit different. My experience with Star Wars movies is limited to A New Hope and Solo: A Star Wars Story. Before I marathoned all 11 films, I had never watched a Star Wars movie except for A New Hope and Solo: A Star Wars Story. A New Hope I had watched with RJ. I'd watched when I was a kid and just didn't grab me. It didn't suck me in. And the reason I wanted to see Solo so bad was because Donald Glover was in it, and I am a fan of Donald Glover. So with that being said, I was kind of torn, do I do it in the order I watched them in? Do I do it in the order I enjoyed them in? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this I don't want to make it a review video per se, but I'm doing a ranking video, and I will talk about each of the movies. I already have a list up on Letterboxd, so if you guys follow me on there, you've already seen this. But I'm going to dive in. I also want to mention before I dive in, the way I watched the movies was the way that they were released in theaters. So I watched 4 through 6, 1 through 3, 7, 7 Rogue One, 8 Solo, 9. That's the way I watched them. So the order they were released theatrically was the order we watched them in. And I'm not going to necessarily give ratings in this video. If you want to see those, you can check my Letterboxd page. But what I'm going to do is basically just rank the movies, talk about them. I'll hold up how I watched the movie. And we're going to dive right in. So number 11 for me, and this might be controversial, but hey, this coming from a Star Wars noob, if you will. It was part of my Star Wars, the original chapters box set. So it's one of the 3 originals. And it is Return of the Jedi, was my least favorite. It's number 11 on the list. I was not a fan of the movie. I don't like Ewoks. I learned that through watching the movie. I found the Ewoks to be incredibly annoying. I would describe this movie as Muppets Star Wars or Star Wars Muppets movie. And yes, if it was actual Muppet characters, it would probably be a lot more entertaining. But instead, it's these teddy bears in cloths, and I found them to be annoying. I know a lot of people I've seen said that they loved Return of the Jedi when they were younger, but upon rewatches as they've grown older, they definitely enjoy it a lot less than than the other movies. I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to use notes. So the whole first hour and a half of this movie was pretty slow paced. I found myself getting bored throughout watching it. And then I lost interest in multiple parts. But in the last half an hour, the action, the climax of the story got my interest back in. And I think Han Solo, I can definitely say, is my favorite character in the Star Wars franchise from now seeing all 11 films. But I just did not care for the last movie in the original trilogy. Han Solo wasn't as charismatic as he was in the first 2 movies, in my opinion. And just a lack of enjoyability for me in Return of the Jedi. So that is number 11 for me on my list. Number 10, I'm sure will make people happy. It is on this set, the prequel set. A lot of people bash the prequels, and we're going to get into, there's probably going to be some people that are like, really? But yes, number 10 is the middle prequel, Attack of the Clones. So This movie, the thing I think of when I watch this movie is in A New Hope, Luke Skywalker is a very whiny, I describe it as like an emo kid. He's very whiny. I don't find his character very likable in A New Hope, or through the. He's better in Empire Strikes Back, but A New Hope he comes off very whiny. And Anakin's character, a young kid in Episode 1, is like a teenager in Episode 2, and he just is a whiny, sniffly little brat in the movie, and it turned out to be really, really annoying to me. The action in the movie was enjoyable to an extent, but I was reminded of other movies while watching it. Like there's a big scene that involves flying cars that made me feel like I was watching The Fifth Element. The fight scene, the big fight scene at the end definitely reminded me of Avengers Endgame. Obviously this was before Avengers Endgame. But I think the third act in this, in Attack of the Clones, drags a bit, and I lost interest in it, and the love story got to be a bit too much, at points of the film, and I just lost interest, and I rank the Attack of the Clones Episode 2, number 10 in the Star Wars franchise. At number 9, see, like I said, my papers are in the order I watched them, so I have to do some shuffling, which can be annoying. I apologize. Number 9 is Rogue One, a Star Wars movie. The Star Wars movie that has characters that nobody cares about. That's what this should be titled. I know it's a bit wordy, but Rogue One basically was the movie that set up how the Death Star was created, if you will, and how they found out about the weakness of the Death Star. So basically felt like a movie to set up A New Hope a little better, but it felt very unnecessary. It felt very un-Star Wars-like to me. It almost felt like a war movie in parts, especially the third act, which saved this movie from being number 11 and being the worst movie by far. The third act really was an action-packed. Like, if you're into action films, the third act of this film is fantastic. If you're not an action fan, you're not going to care for this movie, in my opinion, because, like I said, the characters are very disposable. And yeah, what else do I have written here? The first hour and 15 minutes, I almost was going to turn this off. That's how bored I was by the beginning first. It's a 2 hour and 15 minute movie. In the first hour and 15 minutes, I was bored to tears, basically. The characters, like I said, there's no connection to the characters. There were two characters that I did enjoy in the film. The first being, I believe it's Chirrut, the blind swordsman there. And then the other would be the droid in the center, K2SO. Those were the two characters that I really enjoyed in the movie. But even when, they met their fate, spoiler alert, I was a bit underwhelmed with the movie. The action was great, but yeah. There's Darth Vader is the big selling point of this movie, and he's awesome in it, but there's not enough, not enough of him in the movie to make it like, wow, that was, amazing. But like I said, I would have given this like a 1.5, but the third act action, for me, saved it and ranked it at number 9 in the Star Wars universe. What was number 8, guys? Ooh, it's going to get ugly here in a second. Number 8 also comes from the original 3 movies, and that is the original, A New Hope. So the OG Star Wars movie, the one I had seen before, ranked at number 8 for me. So once again, the first part of the movie, I get what they were doing. They had to set up Luke and where he came from, and R2-D2 and C-3PO. Luke being a whiny baby that you just want to punch in the throat. But I think what really made this movie watchable for me is Han Solo. Harrison Ford as Han Solo. He's so charismatic and just like funny and quippy that he made it watchable. And of course, the second half of the movie is great, all about, you know, the rescuing Leia and being on the ship and the trash compactor and all the stuff that goes along with it. You know, A New Hope. And I should have prefaced the review by saying, you know, there's going to be spoiler talk. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum, but if you're watching this video, most likely you're familiar with the Star Wars movies, and I'll try to stay away from it in episode 9 because a lot of people haven't seen it yet. But the other thing I wanted to say is that I forget, I was going somewhere with that, and I started. There's going to be spoilery talk, and this is obviously my opinion. And a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to be upset that A New Hope was number 8. And I'm not saying that any of these movies were bad. I'm not giving out ratings while I watch this or while I do this, but I would say they rated anywhere from a 2.5 through a 4.5. So I'm not saying any of the movies were hot trash or awful. And like A New Hope, I want to say I gave like a 3.5 to. But they just, you know, comparing this to Harry Potter movies, which I had never seen, I enjoyed the Harry Potter movies. I thought the quality of film was a bit higher for some of them, but it's not exactly an apples to apples thing. So New Hope, I have ranked it number 8. Number 7, and I'm sure people are going to have their heads explode when I say that The Phantom Menace is my number 7, above A New Hope, above Return of the Jedi. I actually enjoyed The Phantom Menace. Seeing Anakin as a young child, the pod racing was very fun. You know, a lot of people hate on Jar Jar Binks. I get why that character offended people, but I also think those people are taking things way too seriously. I know Crazy Joe has a problem with this because there was fart jokes and poop jokes. Yeah, it's called appealing. These movies were made, in my opinion, to be kid and family movies. And it's not like there were fart jokes every 5 minutes in the movie. There was a few jokes made. You know, Jar Jar Binks was definitely annoying in parts, but I find him to be less annoying than a certain metal robot in the original trilogy, C-3PO. And yeah, I get why Jar Jar Binks is annoying, but I didn't mind him. I thought, you know, the action in this film was fun. I thought the you know, the forethought of Anakin and Natalie Portman, Princess Padme, whatever, you know. If I get something wrong, I'm sure Star Wars fans will have me up on the stake for saying stuff wrong. But number 7, Phantom Menace. Yeah. Number 6. What's number 6, guys? This one's probably going to surprise people that it's not higher on my list. I know Jacob will be shocked. But for me, it is Solo, a Star Wars story. Like I said, I love Donald Glover, so I'm a bit biased. I think that he embodied Lando perfectly, especially after watching, you know, the whole series. Donald Glover is a fantastic Lando. And then the lead of this movie, whose name I don't remember, Alden Ehrenreich, I believe, plays Han. I thought he did a great job. I found this movie really entertaining. A lot of people hate on this movie, saying it's absolutely awful. I disagree, and I think the way they show Han and Chewie meeting each other and building their friendship is great in the movie. You know, my issue with this, and once again, we're spoiler talk. This is kind of like, there are going to be spoilers. So this movie takes place between episodes 3 and 4. Darth Maul, spoiler, gets killed in episode 1. How is he in episode 3.5, if you will? That's my problem with this movie. Is he not really alive? Is he a clone? Is it just a hologram? It's not Darth Maul, but it seems like Emilia Clarke's character is working for Darth Maul and she's going to see him. So that's my head scratching with Solo, a Star Wars story. But as an action movie, as a Star Wars sub-movie out of the episodes, this is definitely much better than Rogue One. And just a very entertaining movie, in my opinion. So now we're into the top 5. And number 5 is episode number 8, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Once again, another movie that gets a lot of flack. For such a, a fan base that loves Star Wars, is all about Star Wars, there seems to be a lot of judgment and a lot of hate for anything that's not in the original trilogies. And as an outside party, maybe that's one of the nice things about me not being a Star Wars fan going into this, is I can actually see the movies for what they are, people hate on the prequels. They hate on the prequels. People hate the new stuff. It's all about the original 3, and I just don't think that's fair, because as you guys can tell, this is the first of the last 3 episodes that I'm showing you, and I'm at number 5. And I haven't shown you all the prequels yet either. Spoiler. But no, Last Jedi I thought was an awesome movie. People hate on Rian Johnson for his writing and directing of the movie, but I really enjoyed it. I love the battle that's going on between Kylo and Ren in the film. The inner turmoil that Kylo's going through after what happened in episode 7. He's torn, what he's feeling, what he's thinking, what's right. And the movie was just a blast. It was fun to watch. It had fantastic action. However, when I was watching this, I really started noticing that the Star Wars movies seem to have this way of retreading storylines, plot points. You look at Finn, Poe, and Rey and compare them to Han, Luke, and Leia. There seems to be similarities, and it gets to be a bit annoying, but the chemistry between Finn, Rey, and Poe is so good, and the fact that Kylo is in all 3 of the later episodes, I feel like that was another big issue, in my opinion, with the Star Wars movies, is Darth Vader might not be in the original 3 trilogy, all 3 movies. Darth Maul's only in one of the prequels. So they're like finding villains, which is my issue kind of with some Marvel movies, is the villain's not always strong. But Kylo Ren is absolutely fantastic as a character. His character arc from episode 7 through episode 9 is great. And I really enjoyed The Last Jedi. Like I said, this is number 5 on my rankings. Number 4 is, and like I said, I'm going to be pretty vague with this. Number 4 is episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, which I technically haven't shown you guys this yet. It'll be in an unboxing video, pickup video that's coming out in a while. This video I'm recording with a few other videos, but I'm going to upload it and get it live this coming weekend, so you guys will see this ahead of some stuff I've already recorded. Time jumping, man, it's crazy. But Rise of Skywalker, the end of the Star Wars episodes, ? I really liked this movie. I thought it was really well done. Like I said, the whole Kylo Rey arc comes to a head, and the payoff, in my opinion, is fantastic. The other thing I will say about the Star Wars movies is they do such a classy job of sending off characters, especially the later 3, in my opinion, that it makes it seem like a big deal when a character has moved on or is no longer in the film franchise. So this is my favorite. There was fantastic action in this movie. There's tear-inducing moments in this movie, in my opinion. Another controversial thing. I'll save it. I have a controversial take. But I think the three leads in these movies, Poe, Rey, and Finn, I enjoy more than their chemistry than Leia, Luke, and Han. Controversial, I know, but I personally found the 3 of them more watchable. That's just my opinion, but yeah, number 4, Rise of Skywalker. What is number 3, guys? Number 3, the last of the prequels. So my top 3 is a movie from each trilogy. There's a prequel, an original, and a newer thing. Number 3, part of the prequels, and that is Revenge of the Sith. Basically, the creation, the birth of Darth Vader is what really, is the driving force of this film. The way they do the birth of Luke and Leia alongside the quote-unquote birth of Darth Vader, I think was very well done. It had great action throughout. Some very pivotal moments in the franchise that sets up the original 3 films. Anakin goes over to the dark side of this movie, and it's great. It's so good. It's very well done. Revenge of the Sith, number 3. Number 2 is, what is it, guys? What is it? It is in the original trilogy, and it is The Empire Strikes Back, episode number 5. So I start out my review by saying Han Solo is the man, and he was absolutely awesome in this movie. Han Solo crushes it. Empire Strikes Back, definitely one of my favorite Star Wars movies. A fantastic film. C-3PO really drove me crazy, and I really dislike his character. I find him incredibly annoying. I actually think if you watch the later movies that C-3PO is better in those movies, but I also like how Poe goes after C-3PO. It's very similar to Han. Once again, that goes back to how I feel like each trilogy is, a retread, kind of, but that's just my opinion. And I will say that also Luke was a lot less annoying in The Empire Strikes Back than he was in A New Hope. It was funny too. I was watching Empire Strikes Back with Bridget and RJ, and there would be certain lines of the movie that I'd never seen that have become so synonymous with, film and just everyday life that I was quoting lines of the movie, and RJ is like, "You haven't seen this." And I was like, "Yeah, but I mean, Yoda and Han, like there's very quotable lines in this." What else do I have here? Yeah, the action in this movie is awesome as well, and the third act of Empire Strikes Back is fantastic. Perhaps one of the best third acts in a movie of all time, possibly. I really loved The Empire Strikes Back. Fantastic. Number 2, and I'm sure you guys realize that number 1 is La La Land. No, I'm kidding. It is Star Wars The Force Awakens. Here's my awesome steelbook with Kylo on the front. This movie was freaking awesome. The Force Awakens was great. Introduction to Rey, Poe, Finn. I love Finn's character arc. Basically, as a stormtrooper in the beginning who wants to go against the order and wants to do what's right. But yeah, and then you meet Kylo Ren, who's awesome. He has anger problems. He's angry. He has family issues. He has daddy issues, and he's just an angry guy. But the movie was great. The Han and Leia stuff in this film is fantastic. The emotional beats that the movie takes are great. BB-8 is very lovable. In my opinion, he's right up there with R2-D2 as lovable droids and side characters in the franchise. And this movie was phenomenal. Definitely my favorite. Definitely one I will rewatch in the future, along with Empire Strikes Back. The newer ones, I can see myself rewatching them. Empire Strikes Back, I can see myself rewatching. Solo, possibly. I've seen it a few times now, maybe down the line. Revenge of the Sith, yes, but there's certain movies like Return of the Jedi, Rogue One. Like, if I wasn't a completist, Rogue One would be out of my collection. Like, that's where I was not a fan of that movie. But Force Awakens, I can definitely see myself watching again for sure in the near future. And that's it, guys. That is the ranking. I do want to mention, it's funny, as you guys can see, I owned you know, the two original, you know, 1 through 3, 4 through 6. Then I have Force Awakens on a Steelbook. Rise of Skywalker I had to buy on Blu-ray, and I'll explain why I had to buy it that, well, I didn't have to buy it that way, but I'll explain why in an upcoming video. Basically, it was free. Then Rogue One I have on Blu-ray. And then Solo and Last Jedi I have on 4K. But I also owned two other Steelbooks, those being Return of the Jedi with Palpatine there on the front. So now that I've seen Return of the Jedi, and it's my least favorite Star Wars movie, even though I'm a Steelbook collector, I don't think I'm going to keep this. It is open, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty mint. There might be a few light scuffs on there. So if anybody's interested, I'm probably going to sell this. I'm not going to keep it. It's just taking up shelf space, and I don't necessarily love the artwork. I don't love the movie. And the other Steelbook I owned, and it's pretty funny, is Attack of the Clones. So my two least favorite, there's me, Yoda, and Palpatine just hanging out. My two least favorite Star Wars movies are two of the three I owned on Steelbook. Two of the three I'm never going to rewatch probably. And this one's still brand new factory sealed. So these aren't going to stay on the shelves. These are going to be sold. You know, as a Steelbook collector, it's tough. But also in my head, I'm like, well, then I'd need them all in Steelbook, and that's just not feasible. So these are going to go bye-bye. My two least favorite movies that I don't need on the Steelbook. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm sure many of you will be like, is this guy serious? It's my opinion. Watching all 11 Star Wars movies, I did enjoy them. It was a fun time. I can now say I've seen all the Star Wars movies. Crazy Joe is going to tell me I need to watch the Ewoks Christmas Fantabulous Special or whatever it's called. Not doing that. I'll eventually try to watch The Mandalorian, but I need a Star Wars cleanse. Too much Star Wars, need a break. You know, he said there's a documentary about the original three I should watch. That if I do that, it would be long, you know, ways away. No time soon. So that's it. Like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Leave comments down below. What were your, like, if you had to rank these 11 Star Wars movies, how would you rank them? Leave comments down below. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. A little bit of a different style for me and a different layout. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, a thumbs down if you didn't. That's fine. I respect your opinion. Subscribe if you guys don't as of right now. It would be appreciated. Also, links down below in the description box to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my eBay page. Have a ton of stuff going up on eBay as we speak. My girlfriend's in the other room listing stuff right now. So eBay, my Amazon wish list, my email address, all that can be found down below. Letterboxd, where I rate and review all the movies I watch. Blu-ray.com profile. All that can be found down below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, until next time, who's down to movie?